kind of understood animation 1 and 2 just learning how to animate, learning how to flip pages or use the glass to view the animation. When I first came here, it was beginning animation, then 2 classes of intermediate animation, and then 2 classes of advanced animation. So technically that's up to animation 5. But then they changed it to have animation 1 be beginning animation, and then intermediate animation was split into 2 and 3, and then animation 4, and technically animation 5 is the advanced classes. And what's nice is that recently we've gotten a whole mess of new classes like storyboarding, alternative processing, advanced flash animation. Animation 1 basically has, grid drops and leaf drops, and it deals a lot with gravity and physics. I think the first assignment was a flip book. The second animation class is more about the beginning of acting with your characters, like creating a character, creating a model sheet for your character, creating an environment, and different teachers approach it different ways. I had animation 2 with Mike. He had a number of assignments that we had to do that were a little bit more in-depth. He still had like a ball bounce and stuff, but it was in more 3 dimensions. We never played, and we had the ball going, bouncing out in space. And then we had the pendulum moving back and forth, and that kicked my butt. That one right there. Animation 3 I had with Brad, and that was more having a series of actions that a character that you create would do. I'd be doing a series of quick movements like jumping or snatching something, or trying to catch a ball, crazy stuff like that. It was just more the nuts and bolts of the acting stuff that we started working on. Animation 4, we basically have the semester-long project, and we spend all the time working on that. We have an animatic ready, which is basically storyboards put to sound and music. And we show that, and we present that, and we get feedback on that. And then we just start animating, and we start creating a schedule. Okay, what am I going to do this week? Am I going to get the voices? Am I going to get the sound this week? Am I going to do shots 1 through 20 this week? And figuring out just a lot of time management. There's a lot of steps, but they're generally easy to understand. Basically, what you start out is you have an idea. Once you have an idea, you start formulating characters, you start formulating a story, and you have a kernel of an idea that you want to say something about. And then you take that idea, and you start drawing out ideas. You start putting it down on paper, you start formulating that visually and emotionally through character drawing and finding out how these characters act and move and talk, and through these drawings. And then you just basically visualize the whole thing. So you have characters, you have stories, you have, through the storyboards, you have layouts, vehicles, props. And then you put all that into a storyboard, which is basically like a comic book that basically tells a story that you want to tell from beginning to end. I often look at the storyboards and say, I could change this pose here or there, or maybe I don't even need this whole part entirely, I just throw that out. And the way you do that is you put all those storyboards into an animatic, and that helps to gauge how long the film is. After you have the animatic, then you start proceeding to figure out a schedule of what all you need to get done. So you basically make that list, and you pretty much adhere to it as severely as you can. It is your deadline. It is your crunch period. After you're done with all of the animation, you just basically put it all with the audio that you've re-recorded or just recorded once, and then you go back over it again. And you just kind of put it all in place like a puzzle, and you render it, and you submit it to a film festival. If it's like the College Film Festival, or if it's Ottawa or something, and then you just hope and pray that it's going to get in. For at the very least, just to show people. So many times, I see the studio just bare, just empty. So it astonishes me. It's like, well, you know, people have these films that they need to start working on soon, and this studio's just empty. And they keep the doors open, you know. So it's kind of sad. The studio does kind of need to be filled as much as it can, because that's a great resource. You know, you're not going to have that so much when you get into the industry, unless you have a good deal of money. You know, it's going to be hard to get like an animation table, or a webcam, a computer that houses all the stuff.